Hello, everybody. This is Professor Lilly, and I just want to talk with you a little bit in this video because I couldn't come there in person because I've been home sleeping all day because have a pretty nasty cold. And Annalise is going to play this video for you. I'm going to email it out too. So there's really just two things that you need to know before registration next week. And that is, first of all, what courses are you going to register for, and how do you do it? How do you do the registration part on through WebAdvisor? So I'm gonna in this video I'm gonna handle what courses should you register for, and Annalise is gonna show you how students go through WebAdvisor to the registration app and queue up courses before their allotted time, and so that they can register. So I'm starting here at the Loyola web page, so you can see how you can get some useful information. You can see here that I've already searched for worksheets. So academic worksheets are a great way to start to understand or just visually see what the core is for all students, and then what the core is for different students based on their chosen major. So I'm going to type in worksheets here and go to academic worksheets. And here we have the class of 2023. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to choose two. I'm going to choose a major here to show you the one I'm more familiar with, communication. And the reason is because communication as a major doesn't tell our majors what to do, what to take for all the core courses. So the core is wide open, and there's lots of different majors in the humanities, especially in, to a lesser extent, education, fine arts, the language majors that don't tell you what to take specifically for some of the cores. And there's other majors like business, and I'll choose business second, that do tell you specifically, usually for the math core, social science cores, which courses they want you to take. So I'm just going to randomly come in here, choose one of these, and put it up. Hopefully. There we go. Okay. So in the worksheet, at most of the departments outside of their lobby, they'll have some of these sheets that are designed specifically for that major. So here we have, it says communication, but essentially this is the core. Right now you're taking effective writing. So usually for you all, registration is relatively simple because all you want to focus on is the core, with the possible exception of taking one course towards a particular major. Um, and I'll get to that in a second. Probably, perhaps some of you are already taking History Level 1, and there's several courses that fulfill that. If you search through, I'll go through, or Annalise is going to show you how to use search for sections, and if you haven't practiced that, you should practice that this week. But in the search for sections app, you just would choose History 100 level, and it brings up a whole bunch of courses with different specific topics, and you would just choose one based on the topic that you think that you might be interested in, and also the timing that works out for you. 300 level history is almost always taken care of if you choose to go abroad, and you would usually go abroad in your fall semester of your junior year, sometimes your spring, sometimes both. But even if you choose not to go abroad, then when you're here at Loyola as a junior, you would take care of that second level history at that point. So again, history 100 level should be on your list if you're not already taking it right now. Same thing with English 101. You should go ahead and take that this semester if you're not taking it right now. The second level history, similar to the second level, second level English, is often taken care of if you're going abroad. Not always, but you can leave it and leave it for your junior year. Foreign language. If you're not in 401 now, I'm sorry, 104 now, you should go ahead and continue on in those intermediate courses or beginning level courses like 102, 103 to get up to 104. And that's just because it works better in languages, secondary languages, to keep on working on it and keeping your brain focused on it until you achieve that level. So if you haven't gotten to 401 or 104, I know that there's sometimes languages you might take here at Loyola or other places in the summer that kind of get you ready. So if you choose to take a break and gear up for it in summer, and then start taking it next year, that's an option as well. You can subscribe take one of those kind of online courses or get software that help you to beef up on a language and retake the test. So you can always retake the test. I mean, usually, unless you are doing pretty well, you're typically not going to place into 104. But it's possible to try to do that. But foreign language requirement is something that you don't want to completely neglect. The social science score. So for communication and some of the other majors, they're essentially saying you can take any course in sociology, psychology, economics at the 100 or 200 level, and it would count as the social science score. And this is one of the areas when I show you business score, it might be they're going to tell you specifically which courses to take. Whereas other majors like communication, it's essentially wide open. For fine arts, there are these specific courses. And sometimes, let's say this course here is photography, introduction to photography. Let's say that you're really interested in that. More than likely, it's going to be filled by the time you all register next week. And if that's the case, then I would just hold off and take this core later. And each semester you get a better time. And so more likely, if you try to take it or register for it next year, you're more likely to be able to get into that class. This is studio arts. There's 2 art histories. So these 2 you're learning about historical movements in art, and you're not actually doing art. And these are drawing courses, and then this one here is kind of like a music appreciation or music history type course. The important thing here is just to make sure you actually sign up for the correct one. One time I had an advisee who accidentally, I think it was drawing 253, which you can see is not mentioned here, and she got a couple weeks into it and then realized that she was not in the correct course. It was not a core course. Okay, so mathematics. So if you were a communication or similar major, you could take any course. For these, I recommend taking courses specifically designed for non-majors. And so, for example, there's a course called Math in the Real World that's designed to help you with mathematics that you will apply when you graduate from college, such as balancing your bank account and how to invest for retirement, how to look at numbers for mortgages and things like that and make sense of what they are. And it would definitely not come with a lab. So I would recommend something like that as opposed to something like applied calculus or something like that that are very, very heavy in mathematics for these majors where they say you can take whatever math course you want. Um, for business and the sciences majors, they're going to tell you specifically which math core you have, which course you have to take to fulfill the core. Um, for natural science, similar for a lot of the majors, they say basically you can take any entry level biology, physics, chemistry course, and for those you should look for the courses that are for non-majors, such as well, I'll show you in search for sections, but there's several, and they will not come with a lab. So it will say 3 credits, and it will say course for non-majors, core course for non-majors. Um, Whereas a lot, if you look up biology, a lot of the courses say 4 credits, and that's because it's the course plus a lab. So if you see a course that has a lab, it means it's for a one of the science majors, like for majors in biology, for example, and those usually come with a lab. So watch out for those and don't take those. The math/science core, it's similar, and a lot of majors is kind of wide open as an introductory uh, communication science course or stats course. Um, for foundations of philosophy, if you're not in it right now, then you should go ahead and take that as well in your freshman year. And you should leave the 200 level for if you're going abroad or for your junior year. So this one, the second level of philosophy, you don't have to deal with that now. Introduction to Theology is another course that you can take this year or next year, or you should take this year in your freshman year or sophomore year. Um, However, the second level theology is something that you can wait till junior year. Um, Ethics can wait until you're a junior or senior. A lot of times I have seniors who I'm advising and they haven't taken. They just have to make sure they fit it in. Sometimes when you're abroad, this will be taken care of. Similar to upper level theology and upper level um, philosophy. Uh, Diversity core. We finally gotten to the end. So diversity core, just don't forget about it. And what that is courses that could be in any particular department that have been specifically designed to address topics associated with diversity. Um, and so just look for a D in parentheses next to a course title when you're looking for all of the other cores, and also for once you're into your major. So I know in communication we have like 6 or 7 courses, major courses that have the D designation. And similar, there will be, for example, some upper level and first level philosophy courses. Could be even some science courses and social science courses. And so there could be some core fulfilling courses in social and psychology, for example, that are designated as D, so that they would fulfill the diversity, and they would also fulfill one of the science courses. So just keep an eye out for those, and it doesn't at all have to be this first year. Um, Sometimes I do have seniors who are scrambling to take a course with the D, so it's just something to keep an eye on for now. Um, so let's go back to, let's see, and now look at what the difference is for other majors. So the majors where they'll specifically tell you what you have to take are mostly in the Bachelor of Science and business as well. So let's just randomly choose one here. I'm just going to show you business because a lot of people, a lot of students end up being business majors. Okay, so we see that a lot of these are the same as effective writing, history. However, whereas for the communications majors, it just said social science core. Um, Here, they tell you specifically for if you're any of the business majors, is going to be the same. You have to take micro and macro economics, usually one and then the other. Um, and then as we scroll down here, they have to specifically take um, either applied mathematics um, or calculus. Um, so yeah, this 151 is applied. Um, and then they kind of narrow down the courses that you can take for the math slash computer science core. So that's not that many that they're specifically telling you to make. So let's say you don't know, you have no idea what major you want. That's completely fine, and that's kind of what the core is about, that you would have to skip through and take lots of different types of topics for courses and kind of figure out which one you like, which one you don't like. Maybe you gravitate towards something um, you take at the core. So if you don't know at this point, then what I would do is I would stray away from don't do your social science course yet and don't do your math core yet. Um, or, I mean, you could just go ahead and take micro, because this would count for both communication and then also for business as well. Not just communication, but pretty much any other major. Macro, micro are the two that they would specifically tell you to take. If anything at all. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so there's are some more information. So this is just the advising website here, and they do give more specific information. So if you want to come in here, and really for you all, yeah, I would say. Oh, and one more thing. And there's no real graphic for this, but all of you through Messina were assigned to take my course, Introduction to Communication. So when you're registering, you really only have to, maybe I'll do that real quick. And Annalise will show you search for sections to, let's see if I'm already logged in here. So, and the reason why it's better for Annalise to show you is because my web advisor looks way different than for students. But when I click on search for sections, your registration app will look similar to this, where you're looking through and finding the sections that you want. The difference is when Annalise shows you, then you can click a button, and if you find a course that you want to register for, and you can queue it up so that right when at the very beginning of your time, your allotted time, you can go ahead and you can hit register for these courses. And so if they're all still available, if there's seats available and you get in them, then your registration experience could actually only last about 5 minutes. So the key is to be prepared at that time. Let me go through. I was talking about like biology. So all of us are going to be looking at spring 2020. And so let's say I'm thinking about going for that natural science core. All right, I'm going to go through, say, 100 level. Now, down here at the bottom, one thing you should start to think about is what days and times work the best for you. Oftentimes, typically students have schedules that are based on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which means most of your classes are then, and then maybe one on Tuesday, Thursday, or the opposite, where most of your classes on Tuesday and Thursday, and maybe just one on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it kind of depends. I mean, you could have a mixture. So you should, at this point, start to think, well, what kind of student am I? What are my preferences? When am I the most focused? I remember that when I was in college, I didn't like the 8 o'clock classes. So the first ones I would look at were the ones that started like around 9:30, and then I also didn't like classes right after lunch because I always felt kind of fatigued and right at that point. So I would look for later in afternoon classes and later in the morning classes, and that's when I did best. Some of you might be the kind of person where you kind of need some structure, so maybe you should have at least one class on every day of the week. Others might appreciate having classes or having maybe Tuesday and Thursday mostly off from classes to be able to study. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and so you could just go ahead and say, right now I'm looking for a natural science core course, biology course. That's only Tuesday and Thursday. And let's see. Um, okay, so this one here. Okay, I'm looking at for the natural science core, a 100 level biology course would fill it. But here, like this one has 4 credits. Okay, Intro to Forensic Science with a lab. So that's even though that would fulfill the core, that is more work than I would want to do as someone if I'm not necessarily big into science. If I'm not going to be a science major. However, here we have environmental biology, and I see it's 3 credits, and I'm going to click in here and see what the course description is. Fulfills, so I'm reading the course description, the most important thing right here, fulfills the natural science core requirement for non-science majors. All right, that's a win-win. So let's say I'm interested in environmental issues, maybe global warming and the future of that, and there's lots of reasons why you might want to take this course. So this would fulfill. So just make sure you go through there and read the description um, and figure out. So like I said, the difference would be that right. Wait, where do we go? Search results. Go back. Um, with your registration app is if I decide I wanted that course, then there would be a checkbox right here. I could click on it and click Save for later. So Annalise will show you how to do that, which is great because it's not something I can do on my version of WebAdvisor. So I was telling you before, so for all of you are pre-registered in Introduction to Communication. So on Tuesday and Thursday, and so you really only have to worry about 4 courses to take. And there's, at this point, plenty of core courses that you need to fulfill. If you're going to, so my course, wouldn't say it's super heavy on reading. There's a lot of applied projects rather, and a lot of group work. It's definitely not a math-centric course. Um, so it's kind of in between. If you take the English core first level, or theology or philosophy, those are all very focused on reading and writing and talking in class. So you might only want 2 of those along with Intro to Communication, and then maybe try to address your natural science core, like here, and then possibly the math core. Another option is for you to go ahead and get into, let's go back to our worksheet. Let's say, and I met with a couple students last week, and they were both interested in business administration. So if I scroll down on this worksheet here, you can see that this is the second half, and this is the business core. In some majors, it won't quite look like that, so they don't really have maybe 2 or 3. Like in communication, we have 3 courses everyone has to take before you get into the 300 level, very topical focused courses. In communication, you have a lot of courses that you have to take. So if you're a communication person, you can go ahead, and even if you haven't signed up for the major, but you're absolutely sure you're going to, and you could go ahead and sign up for one of these first courses. Um, just at this point, I would say communication and 3 cores. I mean, you could even say communication, 2 cores, normal core cores, and then 2 business cores would be fine. And any of these you can take. There's no prerequisites to get into them. But in generally, you're trying to go down the list, and you could go ahead and take that. And if you, however, absolutely have no idea what you do want to do for your major, it's absolutely fine just to focus at this point on the core courses. And we'll have a couple of Richmond classes in the spring that focus on helping you to start thinking about majors and talk about kind of a time schedule for that. For getting permission to register, I've already given you all permission to register. And the reason that I did that is because I've done this where I teach Messina 2 sections in the spring, and since I don't see you more like several days a week, like Dr. Ross does, it's just harder to remind you to meet up with me. And back when I did that, when I did do Messina in the fall, like sometimes that we could even cover advising quickly right before or after class. But for that reason, you already have all been given my permission to register. You should talk with me about it, however. I mean, this video stands in a little for that, but for specific questions, I am just about right now to send you my open office hours for this week and for next week. So when I did that for last week, a few people came in, and so I hope to see some people this Thursday and next Tuesday, and coming to talk to me. It's also an option that I'll put into the email to give me a phone call and just chat a little bit on the phone. So yeah, so definitely come see me. You don't have to, so don't get to the point where you're right before registration, you're freaking out because you think that I haven't given you permission yet. I already have given you permission. You're good to go. But it's always good to meet with your advisor to kind of go over your ideas and your strategy. One thing I completely forgot to mention. Let's go back to okay. So you should, the night before your registration slot, you should go back to and look at the courses that you've queued up, and you should see how many seats there are left. Okay, so this is 17. If this is the course, that's not the one, but let's say this is the one. So this is half full at this point. If this said available 1 or 2, then I'm thinking, if some other people have an early registration time than me, then excuse me, then I'm probably not going to get into it. So at which point you need to have load up a different class, or just figure, okay, I'm going to try to get into this class. Maybe I get that last spot, and if not, what's my next option going to be? Maybe it's a different biology. Maybe it's different to fulfill the core, or maybe I'm like, oh, I really want this course. I'm really interested in it. My friend told me they love this professor. So I'm just going to hold off on that. I'm going to do a different core. At this point, you have plenty of cores requirements to take care of, so do not stress if you do not get into the course. And the same thing with majors. If you're, I would definitely say if you're in one major kind of introduction class, that is plenty. And if it's completely filled up, well, that's because it's completely filled up with people who are sophomores now. So when you're a sophomore next year, you'll have even more opportunity, and you'll have a better time, and you'll get into those courses. So as long as you're taking a course that counts for core and or major, then you're good. You don't have to worry about anything. So and you could always drop a course in the first week in January and add something different. Loyola is starting to offer a lot of summer courses. For all of the departments are offering a few summer courses that are all online, so you don't have to actually be here. So that's another option. If there's something you really want to get out of the way, you could always do it in the summer too. So good luck. Send me. You can also reply to my email and ask my advice as well. I think my dog is going to start barking here. So do not stress it. Just be prepared for